and I'm happy to share with you that we've decided to support three startups. The news will be out in the public domain fairly shortly. So I'll save the numbers and the details of the startup till it becomes public. Just to
Okay.
tell you that we are going to go ahead and support.
Yeah.
Of the three, we have one of them is at this point in time is already generating significant operating revenue, and the other
Okay.
two are, have built an MVP, are in the process of commercializing. So we'll
Yeah.
obviously deal with each opportunity on a merit to merit, on a merit based basis. So we don't have a particular, so we look at entities which are already generating revenue, which have got some traction. We'll also
Okay.
look at supporting entities which have right now come up with, let's say, an MVP, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
basically, we believe that the funding, if we do believe that the funding can help accelerate what they are doing, we'll be happy to support. Of course, everything is going to be completely, merit based.
Yeah.
We have a process, etc. So that's the T fund part, and then we also have, so T fund is the current engagement for T fund will be for startups which are headquartered in Telangana, right? So
Okay.
all funding would happen uh, for entities which are headquartered in Telangana. The second part of the funding is with respect to the Startup India Seed Fund, which is what you would have probably seen in the papers recently, which is a
Yeah.
5 crore fund. And the we will be calling for applications for both the Telangana fund as well as the Startup C fund. So please keep tracking what we are doing on both our website as well as
Yeah.
on our social media channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
etc. So we will
Yeah.
be calling for applications.
Yeah.
We have a in for both the Startup India Seed Fund as well as for the Telangana fund. We have an eminent panel put together with industrialists, venture funds, people who run venture funds,
Yeah.
academicians, etc., which will decide merits of each of the pitches which are made, and then
Yeah.
of course we'll go ahead and support the selected startups. And our role as far as supporting the selected startups is not just about giving you the funding, but
Yeah.
we also are trying to, I refer to, how we can we help you with your go to market? How can we help you
Hmm.
accelerate that process? How can we help
Yeah.
line up the right kind of mentors, right? And all the
Yeah.
pieces I spoke about is what we are seeking to do. It's not just about giving you funding, but we do believe that it takes for a startup to get to scale. It requires a lot of support, and we'll be happy to provide that.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. I see a question here, and I'll quickly respond about how to apply for T fund. As I said, it will be an open process. We will put it out. If you track our social media channels, we'll pull out ask for calls for application. There is a vetting process, and then the selected startups will get an opportunity to pitch to an eminent jury, which will make the recommendations on funding, quantum of funding, type of companies to be selected, as well as the valuation and other related parameters. So watch the space, as I would say. Yeah.
Hello, sir. My name is DSK Chakravarti. I am from a company called as Virtusa. Though we work on our individual core servicing businesses, keeping that aside, we also have something called as innovative hub within ourselves. And anything that we do in that particular hub, mostly we work as a startup kind of a mindset. The intention that I'm trying to bring your attention here is, don't look me as a point of a Virtusa, because Virtusa is a big company. But keeping that aside, look me as a startup within small unit of thing that we are trying to come up with. The intention to inquire with you is, I see a lot of good people, professors joined this particular call. Academia is also, there are a lot of people from the academia also joined here this particular call. My query to you is in two folds. One, how can we connect with academia so that the research that this academy experts are doing it is not only limited to the point of these white papers or papers published in journals, and they are dying there itself. They are not transforming into a concept of innovation. As MSR said in the beginning, how can we take that thought to innovation and production? And we, being in the IT work, lacking the support from the academia, because all the people that we are there within our company, they're all small kind of they're not research scholars, they're just grads. They are doing research because company is asking them to do some kind of a work, but they're not passionate about the research. So my point to you is, what T Hub is trying to help to build the gap between the academia and the small size startups that are happening within the big companies like Virtusa.
Professor, I'll take this one. Yeah, hi, DSK, nice to meet you. I'm also an ex-Virtusa employee, so I can connect with you directly. We actually work with almost all academic institutes in Hyderabad and also in Chennai, Bangalore. We have a close tie-up with them. We work with both the incubators within the institute as well as the research-oriented faculty with them. So we are happy to connect with you. I will be actually happy to come to Virtusa, I think not far away from where we are. Come meet and understand what all you do and how we can collaborate. We are very happy to bring. We are actually now physically located within the IIIT campus, and we work closely with their faculty as well as their CIE incubator. So we are happy to connect and bring you that connection.
Thank you, Suresh.
I'll just, sorry, DSK, I'll just supplement what Suresh just said. There's, so, one of the things, there are, the government of Telangana actually set up several institutions, right? And one of the institutions which I will talk about a little bit is an entity called RICH, the Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. They happen to be incidentally working out of the same building as T-Hub, on the same floor as T-Hub. And just to give you some context, the whole idea of RICH is to basically to focus on how do you bring innovation from the lab to the market. So to give some context, there are 41 institutions in Hyderabad. We have institutions across a wide range of sectors. So for example, you have people like agri-tech. From an agri-tech standpoint, we have ICRISAT, we have NAARM, then we have the Indian Institute of, in other sectors, life sciences, and we have things like the National Institute of Nutrition, we have the Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, we have many defense labs, etc. So RICH and T-Hub work very collaboratively, work hand in hand. And for any of you who require support in terms of connecting to academia, right? There are, as Suresh mentioned, we work closely with a number of them, and those, there may be others whom we don't work with, but we'll be happy to facilitate connections through RICH to anyone who's keen on a specific, getting access to specific sectoral expertise within these labs.
Thank you, sir. I'll not take much time. 1 minute, one suggestion. Most of our research, what we currently doing, are towards the sensors. And for all the sensors, we are all dependent on China manufacturers. They are not standard yet. There are no other person than the manufacturers who can supply us. So I recommend whatever the fund that you have currently would be invested towards small scale industries where they produce the mass production as China is doing it, especially like electronic wise. So please consider this as a suggestion.
Thank you, DSK. We'll take that input. I also see a couple of PS. Do we have some more time for some questions?
Yes, we have sir, more 15 minutes to take some questions.
Yeah. So I think Shankar, if you can, I think I see a lot of messages on chat. Some of them seem to be good morning, good afternoon type of thing, but there also seem to be some specific, questions, in terms of asks. So if you could just pick them up and then, have them. We can have try and respond to some of them.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
So one of the question, yeah, sorry.
One such question I think is,
Yes,
do you
please go ahead.
get mentoring support for ideation level startups? The answer to that is, I think, yes, you do, but you do get mentoring, but eventually you need to quickly move to an MVP stage so that you can be part of the more what do you call effective programs of what TM has to have offer.
So one of the questions says, are you planning to open a special cohort for biotechnology in T-Hub as Telangana is growing well in biospace?
Sure. So I'll quickly respond to that. So at this point in time, one of the areas, and you'll see more of that, as we go forward, is also trying to identify a few areas where we can build two parts. One is a deep collaborative ecosystem, as well as trying to identify. I'll just give you a set of areas, and these are right now, this is still work in progress, but we're trying to identify about 5 or 6 areas where we want to establish Hyderabad as the center of innovation, right, and entrepreneurship in those areas. And some of the areas we have kind of identified. There's of course work to be done before we roll it out formally. Are areas like, for example, in the life sciences space, which is I think what kind of you referred to, in the medical devices space, possibly in fintech, possibly in blockchain, possibly in edutech, right? Possibly in animation and gaming, because there's also an initiative by the government of Telangana, in terms of setting up a large facility for animation and gaming, which is being set up right next to T-Hub Phase 2. I think somebody had a question about hardware, right? So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the work which with T-Works is doing. T-Works is another entity set up by the government of Telangana, which helps entities which are working on hardware to convert what they are doing, to a prototype, and then also to some extent to convert to mass production, right? So we will identify 5 or 6 areas, sectors, where we want to establish, Hyderabad and Telangana as the center of innovation and entrepreneurship. So you will see some of these initiatives rolling out during the course of the year, right? So as I said again, watch this space.
So we'll allow a few of the raise hand options here to talk. Mr. Kiran, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Kiran. Our company name is Medfile, and we are we develop software for hospitals, labs, and diagnostic centers for their business operations right now. We have some traction in Telangana right now already. We have about 300 hospitals, labs using our software. Now the concept is we want to expand pan India, like something like Zoho Books has done for the healthcare segment. Would I get some support from T-Hub for doing this kind of expansion in terms of mentoring as well as financial support?
Suresh, would you like to respond, and then I'll complement what you're saying?
Yeah, sorry, could you repeat the question? I didn't quite follow what the question is.
See, we develop software for operations software for hospitals and diagnostic centers.
Okay.
Eventually, we have some idea of consolidating and creating a medical file for the patient, but I feel the market is not there yet because hospitals are not willing to give out information still. So we are in the operations software, and we have about 300 clients in Hyderabad already.
Okay.
And we want to grow pan-India basis in a faster approach, quickly pan-India basis. and I wanted to see if I can get the mentoring as well as the financial support for doing this kind of expansion.
Definitely. I mean, we have programs that are geared towards startups at different stages, and healthcare. We actually work with Atal Innovation Mission. Under that, we have the Atal Innovation Center hosted at THUB, and our focus there is health and life sciences. So we'll be very happy to work with you on that. I mean, in terms of expansion, that's one of the key areas that we support the startups in. Funding, as MS had already explained, it's conditional based on qualification. Any startup that is qualified will be very happy to provide the funding support and help you grow.
Okay. So should I come and meet you sometime at T-Hub?
Definitely, that will be very great. I mean, today I'm the only one on the call, but we have a good set of team who are also founders. So you can come and meet the team and you'll understand the specific need that you are in, what area you're working in, and then suggest how we can move forward.
So maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I can come by to the.
Unfortunately, Saturday, Sunday we are
Yeah,
not.
no. I mean, yeah,
Next
maybe
week
Monday
we
or
are
Tuesday.
definitely in the office. Yeah, definitely. You just need to give us 1 day notice because there are restrictions on entry. 1 day prior, if you inform the team, we'll be happy to meet you at the.
Should I call the T-Hub directly and inform them, or how do I? Is there an email?
Yeah, you can just write to community@thub.co. I'm going to put this as a general mail ID for all to reach out to. Right, so anybody who has a query can just write to this mail ID, and we can happy to respond to you and then understand what your needs are and take it forward. I put the mail ID in the chat box. So any startup that would like to have some discussion with us, whether it's related to mentoring, growth, funding related, what are all the questions that you have, we'll be happy to have an engaged discussion with you first and then guide you in terms of where you go. Okay, I put the mail ID in the chat box. Please take a look. Sir, you want to add something?
I think, yeah. So, I mean, I just want to state again that I see a lot of questions on chat. As I said, some of this may require individual one-on-one conversations. Happy to do so. And again, we work with just to make sure that everybody gets this. We work with startups at different stages. We work with startups which are at idea stage. We work with startups which have reached a certain critical mass in terms of MVP, customers, etc. We work with startups which are bootstrapped. We work with startups which are funded. So we are, we are not, we are also reasonably sector agnostic at this point of time. We want to essentially get, to build a ecosystem where startups of all kinds and shades can scale and grow. Obviously, our focus is little more oriented towards product/platform based companies, and not so much on traditional services types of companies, because that's the story, whose time is now kind of past, right? And again, sectors, it could be direct to consumer, it is B to B to G, B to B to C, all of those, whatever acronyms you can think of, we are happy to support. And as Suresh said, please do reach out. It's a fairly simple mail ID, community@thub.co. Just drop us a note, and we'll happy to connect and set up individual one-on-ones. Again, we want to make as many meetings as possible in person, but we'll obviously have to watch the evolving situation with COVID. So we may, in some cases, have to do this virtually, but that's reality. So we'll all work around that.
We'll take one more question. Anita, please go ahead with your question. Anita Rego, please go ahead with your question.
Okay. I'm Anita Rego and I work in the mental health space. And if you are aware, Telangana is almost sitting on a time bomb when it comes to mental health issues. It is on the top 3 for suicides. It's on the top three for alcohol dependence. It has severe problems in terms of issues